Good day to you, my name is Drake598. I will be playing Space Hulk Deathwing on the PS3, or PS4, sorry. And I'll be giving you a tutorial today on Chapter 1. You have to excuse me if I'm not the most clear. I'm never done a tutorial before, and I am new to this YouTube thing. So I'll try to speak as clearly as possible. I do try to play missions quickly, as you can spend an hour killing 500 enemies and getting 15,000 XP or whatever, or you can do the same mission in 15 minutes and get 10,000. So I just find it more effective to be fast.
Brother Librarian, the initial boarding strike is proceeding, but we have lost contact with Squad Gideon. Your sensorium should receive Gideon's beacon signal, though it will be weak. We need Squad Gideon to secure the breaching zone. Locate them as quickly as possible. When you are successful, proceed to secure the landing area to establish the full bridgehead. Praise the Lion.
So the first 3 chapters are probably achievable solo with any character. Most of the later ones you can't really run solo unless you're using the apothecary.
We're sending Gideon's beacon channel to you.
The first thing you want to do is take out this turret. It is not active now, but it will be upon our return. I like to go this way through the tube rather than going down and fighting my way through. I find it just to be a little bit safer and easier, as I am playing on the hardest difficulty here today for demonstration purposes. It will be achievable on any lower difficulty. That is a psyker. You always want to make those one of your highest priorities, as they can instant kill you on a lot of the higher difficulties, especially after Chapter 6, where, because of storyline, they are a lot stronger. Pretty much all monsters are, or Xenos are at that point. I try not to use my scope too much, as it removes your peripherals. Rocket launchers are probably the second highest priority at long range. Heavy stubbers like this guy, especially at close range, are high priority, because they will shred your armor. Try to spread damage across your body as much as possible. You will notice on the right hand side of the screen that I am orange on my torso and arm and yellow on the other. I like to go down and jump down, not locking the door up there so that we can return here later. I lock the first door and go in the second. And while I'm here, I might as well heal myself, because as you could see there, that heavy stubber tore into me at close range quite well. You may be wearing tactical dreadnought armor or Terminator armor, but you are not as tough as you might like on some of the harder difficulties. As this is a multiplayer a 4-player multiplayer game, it is a co-op game. It's not really designed for running solo, but it can be done. So having that section lock up, you'd probably want to take out this turret, which will be active later. Some people like to shoot the bell to sort of lure the mobs into this area before locking the door behind them, which is where we are proceeding now. You'll see the Auspex scanner on the right hand side. It'll let you know when there's enemies, but I'm not really going to stick around for this. It can be effective given the situation, but you will sort of pick those things up as you play. Shooters can come up through the ground there, so do be aware of that. I know the objective is that way, but I like to go this way first, because there is a relic in this room, which I consider to be the first one to really pick up on this map, as it is a lot simpler to pick this up now. so that when we come around the other side, we can just lock the doors. Why I am by far not the best player at this game, I know the maps reasonably well, so why I will not be giving you, say, left and right directions in most cases. I hope you'll be able to follow the mini-map rather well, as it should be less of a distraction for you guys than me. Although the stealth strains will mess up your radar, so that is why I hung around there to take them out for you guys. That was my mistake there. Failed unlocking that door. Psyker. Always try to engage them like that if possible, because they can cast quite quickly and at long ranges. There has been many an occasion where a single Psyker has wiped out me and my entire team just because we couldn't get a feed on him at the time. And you never know where they're going to pop up from. As you can see, they can teleport around quite effectively.
My fears will welcome. May their shades fight on.
It's not going to give me that shot. Squad Gideon.
Stay vigilant.
Rest in peace, my brothers. You can go in these blue portals, which will heal you up, and you can re-equip mid-mission. I tend not to, yeah, especially if I'm playing with the Apothecary, just because you gain points for healing yourself. Why they will mostly come from down this way, you can see that they will come on either side as well. So do be aware of that. Not such a big deal when you have a team. And I not tend to fight from these stairs just because shooters do come at the back. And there's no real need to advance too far forward when we're just going back that way.
Reactivate the defense grid at any cost.
Do be aware of your stamina bar on the right hand side too. You'll see it now refilling. It is that blue bar. That is basically how far you can run. Squad Gideon. Sometimes it can be useful to push that to the limits, but in a lot of cases, try not to run it out entirely. It would be better to pivot and shoot, for instance. Bad example there, but...
We are receiving strange signal echoes.
The Nocturne melee attack on the Apothecary is not particularly strong. It doesn't really stun or anything. The Hellfire provides the stun. I essentially just use it as a damage boost when I'm starting to run out of ammunition or getting swamped, or as the get the hell out of my way move when I need to go somewhere. I cannot remember if I've mentioned this yet, but essentially you fire from your right hand side going to the center, sort of as if you were firing from the hip, so it's not exactly a straight line. If you can remember that, it can be quite handy. You can almost shoot around corners in some instances, not quite to that extreme, but sort of the same with your melee. It will cover a lot more of your left side than you may think it will. It is especially handy for protection. There's nothing that says you need to go this specific way. I'm just travelling the route I would normally go for this one. It's pretty self-explanatory in this case. This map is not so much a maze as some of the other ones. I will try to give you explanations on why I do certain things at certain points. I'm sort of holding here a little bit just to make sure this is clear, because I need to take out this turret, as it will activate once we do the beacon. I then like to lock up this door, provided it's clear. If not, I would just leave it. And straight down here is going to be the next relic. Do remember to check your 6 quite regularly. Most enemies do appear on the radar, but the stealth units do not. You tend to only notice those when they get close because they blur your radar, unless you're looking their direction and spot, say, their eyes or something like that. Or the shimmer from their reflection, as I said. I think it does not quite appear right. It's not a direct copy of the background behind them.
The activation of the generators has woken a dormant gene stealer.
I like to move quickly here.
It is time to
If you move quick
establish
enough, you'll get the
the
brute lord to
main force
spawn there,
breach.
or
Go to your
Cypher in
assigned
this
battle
case.
zone with your command squad.
In which case you can lure him into this position. Giving you a free and clear run to the door. If this was being run multiplayer, I might engage him. It depends on the party, but on harder difficulty they are quite hard to kill. Especially solo. If you push too far forward, he will spawn in here instead. In which case you'd want to run around that side of the room where I'm shooting, and then up, because the stairs will come up this side as well. If you're quick enough, you should be entirely safe. Apologies for the lags back there. Are sort of out of my control. As you can see, I like to keep moving forward. We should get this done in a relatively quick rate that way, rather than having to fight for a long time. Which is quite common on a lot of these maps if your squad doesn't quite know what they're doing, or they get bogged down quite a lot. That's why I do try to employ run as much as possible. There is also a command system that you can use, for instance. I've gone too far. Not paying attention to my radar. Yes, shooters, I know you come up on these little platforms. Do try to remember that. You will get a feel for where they come up through the more missions you play, I guess. As As you can see, we've come up the other side, so we'll be locking that door behind us. The command system is quite useful. It has follow, move to, heal, defend.
Move to this point.
You can tell them to lock doors and things. You just have to get it on the door frame or the door. Like destroy, open,
Move
go.
to this point.
Some people do like to fight from that tube, as you will not be able to be attacked by ciphers or broodlords apart from there. But there is 2 entrances and it can be quite difficult to hold when you're getting attacked from the rear at the same time. I prefer to fight from this tube, just because anything that wants to attack from behind has to get past you first. Bad time to reload. Shooters always try to engage in close combat as much as possible, just because in most cases they will be at a disadvantage to you, and close combat units try to engage at range. Sort of just logical. You can block a lot of these attacks, like that. As you can see, I'm out of ammo, but I want him to retrieve a little bit first. Okay, try to get in to get that laser guy. Don't worry about the melee so much. Always got the heal on this guy. Because those lasers can deal quite a lot of damage, as you just saw. Combination of the heavy stubber as well, but there will be either Cypher or Broodlord spawn at some point. Sometimes you will get multiples, and it can either be a Broodlord and a Cypher, or multiples of either. There's the Cypher. They are a lot easier to run around the maps, just because they're a lot slower when they're not doing their charge. And when they do their charge, you can sort of stagger them by running them into something unbreakable, such as some concrete walling, or you will work out. Broodlords I don't recommend trying to run around the map too much. They're a lot faster and can be a lot more troublesome. Equally as tough, although the Broodlord psychic attack I do feel does more damage. Don't quote me on that, as I'm more an expert on this one. I'm just trying to draw out my ammunition for as long as possible here. Essentially, I need to deal a lot of damage to this guy before I can actually kill him. As I said, this is normally a co-op 4-player game, up to 3 other friends, so it's not exactly designed to be fought like this, but down he goes, and there's the Broodlord. Watch for his psychic attacks. That was the lightning flash just there. Move on him now. try to watch for his animations and you should be able to see him. No? Well, I was very close. I just pushed it a little bit too far there at the end, but essentially once that timer at the top of the bar there is complete, that mission is then complete. As you can see, on the hardest difficulty, even on a failure, it's a pretty good experience. So, this is Drake598 Shadow. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions or anything like that about the game, drop a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.